Hello there, Ifiddle viewers. Tom Morley here, Irish fiddle player and teacher. I'm also the author of the book Learn to Play Irish Trad Fiddle. And well, it's March, and it's my favorite month of the year. Why, you may ask? Well, do you really have to ask? Because March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and that's when folks celebrate all things Irish. And in fact, to me, I think the entire month of March, a lot of times people are just a little more attenuated and paying attention to Irish heritage, Irish culture, Irish music, and like I said, all things Irish. So it is my favorite time of year for sure. Lots of gigs for the Irish fiddle player, and so I love being able to play all the styles of tunes that I've been teaching and playing myself through my career. Today I'm going to teach you a new Irish jig. It's called St. Patrick's Day in the Morning. I've used this as a theme show, kind of. Up through now, almost for a year, I've been showing all the different styles that fit within the Irish traditional music genre. We learned all kinds of tunes, didn't we? We learned a jig, we learned reels, we learned hornpipes, polkas, barn dances. We learned a march and even a slip jig, that great kind of tune in 9/8 time. That's what we did last month. Well, from this point on, I'm going to just start teaching great Irish fiddle tunes of all styles, lots of jigs, lots of reels. So every month you'll get at least one new tune. Sometimes there'll be a tune from my own book, my method book, Learn to Play Irish Trad Fiddle. Sometimes I'll pull a new one out because there's thousands to choose from, let's face it. But I'll always try and pick tunes that are good with good melodies and that you might hear at an Irish traditional music session. That's my goal, is to give you guys great tunes to learn as you continue your journey learning to play Irish traditional fiddle tunes. Now this tune has an interesting background. It goes clear back into the 1800s and was often used, in fact, by the fife and drum corps during the Civil War on both sides. This would be a tune to march to. There were so many Irish soldiers on both sides of the conflict in the Civil War that they brought their tunes with them, and they were often adapted into the marching tunes that the soldiers marched to. Jigs were called quick steps instead of jigs, and you can certainly see why, because once you start playing those tunes, you got to march pretty fast to keep up. So the old Irish jigs became the tunes that were used to march to way back then. This tune also, if you look it up, you might notice that it could be called a jig or a set dance. Now, what in the world is a set dance? That's a good question. That's a long, old tradition in Irish traditional music, where a person will do a special dance to a very specific tune. As I've told you before, all the Irish tunes, in fact, fiddling in general, every time a fiddle player plays a tune, what was it really meant to be for? For people to dance to. And that was certainly the case in Ireland. But there are a number of tunes that have very specific dances that go to them. If you look up the St. Patrick's Day in the Morning, you'll see that some versions are set up like a jig. They're normal 8 measures, repeat it, 8 measure B section, you repeat that. But sometimes you'll see it written out with a lot of extra measures, like somebody forgot when to stop and there was a bunch of extra measures tacked on, so it no longer really sounds like a jig with 2 specific parts. Well, that's because that version of it is meant for somebody to dance a very special set of dance steps to it. So you'll see that every once in a while in Irish traditional music. There's a couple tunes that are called set dances. Some of them you can't change or make any other way, but this tune in particular, I just want to point out, you can make it from a set dance with extra multiple measures into a very concise 8 measure plus 8 measure jig. So there's the history of that tune. It's a jig and a set dance all at the same time. So let's learn it. It's in the key of G. And it also uses some of the D string notes. Starts with a pickup on an open D, and you're going to see me use my pinky a lot on this one. So the very first measures have a melody that is on the D string with the third finger, and then you go. You'll do that, and then you'll go. You'll also do the same thing on the A string. We talked about this last month with the slip jig. It's so much better to do that than to go. It's a silly bow change to make, and a string change, I mean, so you don't want to do that. Also, later on, we'll learn how to use that in an ornament. So anytime I show a student to use their fourth finger, I'm thinking way in advance when we might do a roll or a more advanced ornament, and your pinky will be part of that ornament, so you might as well get used to using it now. But a lot of times I will use my pinky instead of having to go, or number one, when you pop over to another string, it has a completely different sound than the other notes around it, and it also makes you have to do a very fast string change and jump right back, and that can be pretty messy for the not so advanced player. So you want to be careful on that. So here's the first 4 measures of St. Patrick's Day in the morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that fourth measure ends on a real nice solid E, all E's. So the first measures again, then up the A string, then back, the next 4 measures start with the same melody, but then you go on up higher on your violin, then clear to a G, G arpeggio, so the second 4 measures of the A section, let's put that all together slowly and see if you can work on it by watching my fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's repeat it. The A section, then you jump your third finger. You just ended on 3 fingers on the D string. Take it clear over to the A string. The next section starts with a big jump with 2 Ds. So that's what I call kind of a cascade of notes, where it starts with a little 3-note phrase and then kind of cascades down like a waterfall or steps going down. Let's listen to how that works. It sounds like a lot of notes to somebody who's trying to learn it by ear, but it really isn't that bad. So it's 2 Ds. You work your way up to the G, then you're going to fall backwards, then go back to the first finger, then open E. So you see, once you hear those sets of 3 notes, 3 in a row, it's going up and down and down and down. Then you do that again. Then the next measure start like the other ones did. But then you work your way up. You're on a G on the E string, and the last part is kind of tricky. You're going to go clear down to this G. You're going to jump a whole octave down to that G. And then you're going to use your pinky over here and grab an E. Instead of open E, you're going to get a 4th finger E. And once you get that, then you work your way just straight down the row. So the last 5 notes are not bad at all. But probably the octave jump, and then going from 3rd finger on the D string to 4th finger on the A string. And why am I doing that? So I don't have to try and jump my bow over the A string to get to an open E. That's cumbersome and clumsy as well, so that's a bad string change. So I found that it's much smarter to put your pinky down right there like that instead. So let's put the whole B section together. Well, maybe I should just do the last couple measures again. Here it is again. So here's the whole B section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of notes, but actually all the best jigs have tons of notes in them, and you just have to start getting the groupings together. Remember, there are always going to be groupings that you can use that go up or have arpeggio figures, that sort of thing. If you start listening, you'll hear these things. No tune has just random bunches of notes. They're all clustered in within a chord. So they can't go too far. I guess that octave jump is about the farthest you can jump. Yeah, on any tune, you hardly ever do more than that. Just listen to a little group at a time, and it will help you learn a tune by ear. Once again, when you look at the printed music that I always include here at Ifiddle Magazine with my article, you'll notice that I've also put different groups of notes together in 3-note slurs, and that helps tunes sound so much better. As you learn this tune, try and watch where I'm slurring. I'm not going to take the time today to try and show you every slur I made, but try to mix and match 3-note slurs and 3 notes separate. You can either use the first 3 notes in a measure and slur them, and then not the next, or vice versa. Try it the way that I have it in the printed music first, and then make up your own versions. But add some slurs so that the tune doesn't wind up sounding scrubby. You don't want to go. You don't want that. No, no, no. So slurs really help make a tune sound so much better. All right, I'm going to play it one more time for you here to finish up our lesson. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is probably the most advanced one we've taught so far, but for St. Patrick's Day, it's time to kick it up a notch and learn some great tunes from this point on. So enjoy St. Patrick's Day with St. Patrick's Day in the morning, and hope to see you next month at Ifiddle Magazine. 1, 2, 1, 2.